She has not played a single point at the tournament. She has not stepped on the court even once. And yet, tournament directors across North America are already scrambling to find her enough seats. That is not an exaggeration. That is exactly what has been happening to Alex Eala this summer, and by the end of this video, you will understand exactly why one 21-year-old from Quezon City is quietly rewriting the business of professional tennis, one sold-out session at a time. But here is the part that should really stop you in your tracks. There is a very specific, very rare feat in modern tennis. A feat that, according to tennis insiders, only one other player has managed to pull off in the last 20 years. Not Roger Federer, not Rafael Nadal, not Novak Djokovic, only Serena Williams. And this summer, Alex Eala matched it. Stick around because we are going to break down exactly what she did, how tournament organizers are reacting in real time, and why this Filipina star's rise might be one of the most remarkable stories in tennis right now. If stories like this get you fired up, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell, because we are covering every match, every milestone, and every headline in Alex Eala's historic season. Now let's get into it. To understand why this moment matters, you first have to understand where Alex Eala was standing just 18 months ago. Because this is not a story about a prodigy who was always destined for the spotlight. This is a story about a player who spent years fighting for recognition, one qualifying draw at a time. Eala was born on May 23, 2005, in Quezon City, Philippines. She turned professional back in March of 2020, and for years she built her game quietly on the ITF circuit, picking up titles at the smaller W15 and W25 levels while barely registering on the radar of the sport's mainstream audience. Her real breakout came in March of 2025 at the Miami Open, where as a wild card she pulled off consecutive wins over Madison Keys and Iga Swiatek, two of the best players in the world. That run made her the first Filipino player in history to reach a WTA 1000 semifinal, and the first to crack the WTA's World Top 100. It was the kind of run that makes people sit up. But even then, nobody could have predicted what was coming in the summer of 2026. This year, Eala kept climbing. She won her first WTA-level title in Birmingham. She reached the fourth round at Wimbledon for the first time in her career. She made a semifinal run in Berlin. And then, in early August, she walked into the Mubadala DC Open in Washington and delivered the signature performance of her career so far. She fought through the draw, and in the semifinals she eliminated four-time Grand Slam champion Naomi Osaka. Then, in the final, she faced world number 3 Jessica Pegula, the tournament's top seed. Eala came back from a set down to win 4-6, 6-4, 6-0, becoming the first Filipino player, man or woman, to ever win a WTA Tour-level singles title. It was a landmark moment for Philippine sports, and it sent her rocketing from world number 28 into the top 20 for the first time in her career, a new career-high ranking of number 20. That alone would have been enough of a headline. But what happened next is where this story gets genuinely strange in the best possible way. Eala barely had time to celebrate before she had to turn around and fly to Toronto for the National Bank Open, one of the biggest tournaments on the entire tennis calendar. And that is when the ticket numbers started doing something tournament staff had never seen before. According to the tennis outlet Tennis Connected, the Wednesday night session in Toronto, the exact night Eala was scheduled to play, sold out completely. Now, sold-out sessions happen at major tournaments. That part is not unusual. What is unusual is who normally causes them. Tennis Connected reported that, going back 20 years, only one player has been able to single-handedly sell out an opening Wednesday night at that tournament. Serena Williams. Not Federer. Not Nadal. Not Djokovic. Just Serena. And now Alex Eala. Let that sink in for a second. We are talking about 3 of the greatest champions the sport has ever produced, all of whom have walked into that same Toronto stadium as headline attractions, and none of them ever moved the needle quite the way this 21-year-old from the Philippines just did, before she had even played her opening match of the tournament. And the demand did not stop there. Toronto's tournament director, Carl Hale, ended up making a scheduling call that tells you everything you need to know about how big this had become. Eala's matches were originally planned for the grandstand court, which seats around 2,800 fans, But ticket sales blew past that number so fast that organizers had no choice but to move her matches to center court instead. Here is how Hale explained the decision to Tennis Channel. He said the grandstand court holds 2,800 seats, and they simply could not put her there anymore because she had probably already sold upwards of 5,000 tickets. Read that again. 5,000 tickets for a court that only holds 2,800. That is not a scheduling inconvenience. That is a tournament being forced to completely rethink its plans around a single player in real-time mid-event. Now, Eala's run in Toronto did not end the way the fairy tale demands. After beating American Katie McNally to advance, she ran into a red-hot Belinda Bencic in the third round and lost 4-6, 0-6, visibly worn down after the brutal turnaround from her Washington triumph. It happens. Even the biggest breakout stars hit a wall eventually, especially when they are playing back-to-back elite-level tournaments with almost no recovery time. But losing that match did not slow down the conversation about her. If anything, it added fuel to it, because by then, people across the tennis world were no longer just talking about her results. They were talking about her impact. Former British number 1 Greg Ruzetsky put it about as directly as anyone could. Speaking on his podcast, he said there is only one other person he can compare to Eala's current star status, and that person is Serena Williams. Think about the weight of that comparison. Serena Williams is not just a tennis legend. She is one of the most recognizable athletes on the planet, someone who transcended her sport entirely. And a respected former top-ranked player is now putting a 21-year-old from Quezon City in that same conversation. Andy Roddick, another former world number 1, had his own moment of being genuinely stunned by her, though for a different reason. After Eala appeared on his podcast, Served, Roddick said he was floored by her maturity and self-awareness, especially given everything she has had to handle amid this sudden wave of popularity. He called her a pioneer for her country and said he became an even bigger admirer after speaking with her directly. So what is actually driving all of this? Why has a player who was outside the world's top 100 barely more than a year ago suddenly become one of the most in-demand tickets in tennis? Part of it is simply the tennis. Since her Miami breakout in 2025, Eala has beaten a staggering list of top 10 opponents, including Madison Keys, Iga Swiatek, Elena Rybakina, Coco Gauff, Alina Svitolina, and Jessica Pegula. That is not a lucky run. That is a player who has genuinely arrived among the sport's elite, with the results to prove it match after match. But the other part of it, and honestly the bigger part, is the fan base she carries with her wherever she plays. The Philippines has never had a tennis star like this. Eala is the first Filipino player, man or woman, to break into the WTA's top 30, the first to string together multiple wins over top 10 opponents and Grand Slam champions, and the first to reach a tour-level final in the Open era. For a country of well over 100 million people who have waited generations for a tennis icon of their own, she is not just a rising athlete. She is a symbol, and that community shows up, loudly, visibly, and in huge numbers, whether she is playing in Washington, Toronto, or anywhere else in the world. Which brings us to right now, this week at the Cincinnati Open. The Cincinnati Open is one of the biggest events on the tennis calendar, an ATP and WTA 1000 level tournament held at the Lindner Family Tennis Center in Mason, Ohio. It is not a small stage. Last year's edition drew a record 285,000 fans from all 50 states and 65 countries, backed by a $260 million expansion that doubled the size of the venue. This is one of the sport's premier events, and it just got even bigger, with the tournament earning ATP and WTA Tournament of the Year honors for 2025. For 2026, tournament director Bob Moran has assembled a field that reads like a who's who of modern tennis, with world number 1 stars Aryna Sabalenka and Jannik Sinner, defending champions Carlos Alcaraz and Iga Swiatek, and a long list of former winners and rising names. And right in the middle of that star-studded field is Alex Eala, seeded 17th, fresh off her breakthrough Washington title and her headline-grabbing run through Toronto. Because of that 17th seed, Eala receives a first-round bye, meaning her Cincinnati debut will not come until the second round, where she is projected to face either Alison van Witvank or, more likely based on the draw, Julia Linette or Elena Ruse, depending on how the earlier rounds shake out. It might look, on paper, like a quiet entry into the tournament. A bye, a lower round opponent, nothing dramatic. But if the pattern we just walked through in Washington and Toronto holds true, do not expect it to stay quiet for long. Because every single time this year that Eala's name has gone up on a schedule, the same thing has happened. Ticket interest spikes. Sessions sell out faster than organizers expect. Venues that were built to handle the sport's biggest legends suddenly find themselves stretched to their limits by a player who, until 18 months ago, most casual fans had never even heard of. And that is really the heart of this story. Not just the wins, not just the ranking climb, but the sheer, measurable pull she now has on an audience. Tournament directors who have spent decades watching Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, and Serena Williams walk through their gates are now describing something they have not quite seen in that combination before. A player this early in her career generating this much demand, this consistently across multiple countries and multiple tournaments in a row. So here is the real question heading into Cincinnati. Eala has already sold out a night session that even Nadal, Federer, and Djokovic never managed to sell out on their own. She has already forced a tournament to move her matches to a bigger court mid-event because the smaller one simply could not hold the demand. What happens if that same energy shows up in Ohio this week? What happens if, instead of a straightforward second-round match, Cincinnati organizers find themselves facing the exact same scramble that Toronto just went through? We do not know the answer yet. Nobody does, not even the people running the tournament. But given everything we have just walked through, given the pattern that has repeated itself at every single stop this summer, it would be a genuine surprise if Cincinnati turned out to be any different. What we do know is this. A 21-year-old from Quezon City has gone from outside the world's top 100 to a career-high ranking of number 20 in the span of about a year and a half. She has become the first Filipino player ever to win a WTA Tour-level title. She has been compared by a former top-ranked professional directly to Serena Williams. And she has already achieved a ticket-selling feat that Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic never managed to pull off in that particular Toronto stadium. If that is where she is standing before her Cincinnati debut has even started, it genuinely raises the question of just how far this run can go, all the way into the US Open, her final Grand Slam appearance of the season, where she is also set to play mixed doubles alongside Felix Auger-Aliassime. So here is what we want to know from you. Did you know just how big Alex Eala's fan base has become before watching this? Do you think Cincinnati is about to see the exact same ticket surge that Toronto and Washington just experienced? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We genuinely want to hear them. And if you want to keep up with every match, every milestone, and every new chapter in Alex Eala's historic season, make sure you are subscribed with notifications turned on so you never miss what happens next. Because if this year has taught us anything, it is that with Alex Eala, the next headline is never very far away.